Robert Sanchez. We're going to get to you. We're going to get to you. But Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3 in the Carabao Cup semifinal first leg at the Bridge. And you see, I don't have my hood up today, so I'm not super depressed about that ending, that result. I mean, obviously, I'm not happy that we lost at home in the first leg. But to be fair, the performance wasn't the end of the world given certain circumstances. So, like, subscribe, all the good algorithm stuff would be much appreciated. And let's get into this first leg tie. And let's start with the lineups because going into this game, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't the most confident. First of all, Liam Rosenior's first big match in charge of Chelsea. And going in, looking at this lineup, I mean, we're missing Palmer through injury. We're missing Reece James through injury. Gusto. We're missing Caicedo through yellow card accumulation. It's not a great look for us coming into this game. If you want to say our top 5 players, in my opinion, are Caicedo, Palmer, Reece James, Cucurella, and Estevao. We're missing 3 of those top 5 going to a game against Arsenal pretty much at full strength. I mean, no Calafiori, so they have Timber out at left back and Ben White comes in, but Ben White was a starter for them for a while. Obviously, he isn't so much anymore, and I think Trossard is better than Martinelli. So really, this is a really strong starting lineup from Arsenal. Obviously, they have Kepa in goal instead of David Raya, but overall, I'm looking at these lineups. I'm thinking, Arsenal could really come here and get a result. And it wasn't long into the match. They get a corner, and Arsenal from corners are pretty much guaranteed. And it's tough because we were saying this earlier in the season when Arsenal were looking like they were going to maybe challenge for our clean sheet record. I mean, it's not looking like that anymore. But Arsenal are pretty much guaranteed a goal a game from a set piece. So really to beat them, you have to score a goal to even be within a chance of beating them. That's just to get a draw because they're guaranteed going to get a goal from a set piece. So then to beat them, you have to score 2 goals on them, and they have the best defense in the league already. It's not looking good. But to be fair, hey man, we got our 2 goals today, but they were just even better. But Ben White off the corner, Declan Rice probably the best corner deliverer in the game right now, at least in the Premier League. I mean, his corner, I think he's better delivering corners than even Saka, personally. Like, it's crazy. But he finds Ben White. I mean, Robert Sanchez, I don't know, that flapping at the ball, barely even really getting to it, or not really getting to it. It's just, it is embarrassing. Arsenal dark arts, they do what they do. Up 1-0. And the first half, I'm not too mad at it. I mean, we kept it just a 1-0 for the rest of the first half. We outpossessed Arsenal, which I did not necessarily expect to happen. I mean, I know we like to be on the ball possession team. That's kind of the style our, higher ups want to go for. But we outpossessed Arsenal, and we were kind of still in it in that first half. We had our periods where we were going for it. Really, Starboy, that kid, he needs to be starting regularly because what a talent. But going into the second half, we let this guy score. Victor Gyokeres, the covering up the stank breath celebration. It's tough. It's tough. Robert Sanchez, man, this season, I think Chelsea fans collectively have warmed up to you a bit. I mean, I've still been saying there's improvements to be made in the market, but it's no longer our top priority to replace Robert Sanchez compared to some other positions because this season he stepped it up. Ever since the Club World Cup, he stepped it up. He's made some improvements, and Maresca really put him under his shoulder, put a shoulder around him, and said, this is my guy. But now, as soon as Enzo Maresca leaves, Robert Sanchez reared his head. They go through. Saka lays it off for Ben White. He plays the ball into the box, and Robert Sanchez gets both hands on the ball. Lets it slip through like a bar slope, and Victor Gyokeres slides through, gets a finish, 2-0. And honestly, that ends up being the difference maker. If Robert Sanchez claims that ball in that moment, 1, Victor Gyokeres continues his goal drought, which, not surprised. But 2, I mean, that's a completely different game from that point on. So really, Robert Sanchez, don't start 2026 like this. I mean, if you're gonna start going back to these bozo moments, hey man, this summer it's time to go, buddy. It's time to go. But as of right now, when I did my tier list for the best Chelsea players of the season had a performance, I didn't put him in time to go, so we'll give him another chance. Then we bring on Garnacho, we bring on Badiashile, and the Carabao Cup merchant.
Yeah, baby.
Garnacho. In the league, hey man, I ain't really having it. In the Champions League, I'm not really having it. But in the Carabao Cup, even want to go back to his Man United days when they won the Carabao Cup a few years ago. I believe it was the Carabao Cup. It was the Carabao or FA Cup. I think it was the Carabao Cup under Ten Hag when it was him and Kopi Mainu, Hoyland, Ahmad, those guys winning the Carabao Cup back then. This guy's a Carabao Cup merchant, Carabao Cup spammer. And in this game, he comes on, makes an impact. I think it was Pedro Neto going down the right side. He plays it over, Look what happens when Pedro Neto doesn't stop the play and cut back 50 times so they try to look for something. He just goes through and just plays the ball across, put it in the danger zone before they have 50 players in the box and see what can happen. The ball falls out to Garnacho. Bam. He just slaps it, puts it in the net, and we take that 2-1 Alejandro Garnacho, and we move Pedro Neto with the assist. A lot has been said about that winger pairing, but we take that. But I do want to speak a bit about that substitution to bring on Garnacho and take off who we took off, Guiu, because obviously it ended up being a good substitution in terms of what it meant for the game. But for that, what that meant for our system and our formation, it kind of meant Garnacho was on the left, Estevao, who was on the right, kind of stayed on the right, and Neto, if anything, was more in central positions because João Pedro became our, quote unquote striker. I mean, really, if you look at how we were actually playing, Garnacho was on the left. Garnacho was pretty firmly on the left. Estevao was on the right, but Pedro Neto was still kind of on the right. They were kind of both on the right, but just Estevao was a little wider. And what's his name? João Pedro was still dropping. He's basically a false nine. He's still always going to drop into those 10 positions. We were kind of playing them all four across the front almost, which is an interesting setup. I mean, when Garnacho came on, I expected Estevao to move to the 10, Neto on the right, Garnacho on the left, but it wasn't quite the setup I expected. And to be fair, it was starting. We were getting some moves going. We were trying to get some momentum, and we were starting to get some good chances after that. And you can see we had this good spell here. After Garnacho comes on, we get some momentum going, and we had some chances. Estevao had some decent shots. I mean, he was just electric the whole game, of course. At a certain point, I was like, after Zubimendi, let's talk about it. Zubimendi goes through. He gets the ball toward just inside their area. He just walks it across the box. Terrible defending. No one really challenges him. Fofana puts in a half challenge. Zubimendi fakes the shot, and Fofana ends up doing the stanky leg, which was, that was tough. But for me, Zubimendi, he's not some crazy attacking threat. Put the pressure on him. Why are we just letting him walk through scared to put in the challenge? Put the pressure on him. He's not going to just accelerate and make you force a penalty or anything. But we just let him go through. You have 3 center backs on at that point also. And it didn't matter. Zubimendi scores. And at that point, I'm like, hold up. Might want to take Estevao off, save him for Brentford because that's a big game on the weekend. But we keep him on. And to be fair to Liam Rosenior, or ROSENIOR, I still don't know how to fully say his name. Let me know in the comments. Ended up being not a bad decision because we keep fighting. We bring on Hato. At this point, we have a bunch of center backs on. I think, when they take off Correa and bring on Adarabioyo, technically we have 4 center backs on at that point. I know Hato, you could say he's either. They bring on more attacking reinforcements, which I didn't really expect. I mean, I guess you could say, Kai Havertz really was playing center mid, but more attacking reinforcements at that point in the game, which I didn't expect. And then Garnacho, once again, this one was from a corner. We put it in. It kind of just gets ricocheted back out toward the edge of the area. And Garnacho was sitting there waiting on the volley, half volley really. Bang, a bouncing goal. It hits off the ground, goes in over the Arsenal players who weren't expecting the bounce. And it's 3-2. And at that point, I'm like, hold up. We kept Estevao on. We might be cooking something. The Carabao Cup merchant got himself a goal.
Yeah, baby.
A second goal. And Estevao's still cooking. Neto's not even playing poorly. Let's go for it. And unfortunately, we weren't able to end up getting the result. But they showed me some promise there in that second half, especially coming out to the end. The momentum was there. The chances were there. And I thought we really could have pulled something out there. Now, if we're being realistic, now we got to go to the Emirates for that second leg. And, if we are able to get our best 11 back, if Reece James is starting, Caicedo, Palmer, then, we might be talking about something. But if it's still going to that game with a lineup like this, I'm not super optimistic about that matchup. And if that's the case, I think we just got to start looking at, let's lock in on the league because we have Brentford this weekend. Brentford are above us in the league. I mean, they're cooking right now. So they have more goals per match than us. I mean, what are we talking about here? But that's not going to be an easy game. Paphos in the Champions League, that's a must win result right there. We need that one. Crystal Palace, that's not an easy game. Napoli, that's not an easy game. So really, we don't have a game that I think is another must win in the Prem until West Ham, and then obviously we have Arsenal coming up after that. So we have some time. If we're able to rotate against West Ham and maybe play a strong 11 against Arsenal, because then we can rotate against Wolves again, I'm not mad at that, but we got to see how things pan out by then. Overall, though, I'm not mad at the performance. I'm not mad at the result. I mean, obviously, I'm mad at that. I mean, if you look at it in the end, we could have got something if it wasn't for the Robert Sanchez flub kind of returning to type there. But overall, I mean, I thought Enzo Fernandez was okay. People I think, were gassing him. Even he was solid. I think when he plays in these deep positions, he's good at spraying those balls out to the right, and that's his strength from there. I thought he was decent overall. The defense, I mean, not really loving it. Cucurella did well against Saka as he usually does, despite getting the yellow card. Sanchez, horrendous. And attacking wise, Guy wasn't really in the game. I honestly can't really remember him getting a touch. I mean, he got a couple where they played it up. He had to hold it up a bit, but he was barely in the game. João Pedro was all right. Neto was really growing into the game as it went on. Estevao was solid. I think 6.5 is harsh, but no GA. And then Garnacho obviously coming off the bench doing his thing. But overall, we're looking forward to Brentford now. I'll be back for that game. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you made it this far, of course, like, subscribe, all that good algorithm stuff. I'm still a little bit under the weather. That's why I haven't dropped any videos in the last few days. But I'm hoping I'm going to be back up to full strength for the Brentford game, which is hopefully a win. But, we'll see because we can't guarantee anything these days, unfortunately. But I'll see you guys then. Take care and peace.